Character Legal Warriors, this video goes out to a viewer who requested we make a video about this situation. Hopefully not a situation they are in, but it applies to a lot of possible people out there. What's the video? How to defend yourself legally after you are forced to defend yourself physically. If you're interested in that area of the law, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington State for more than 20 years, and I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get the help they need. Now, as always, I'm just going to jump right into it. Thank you to the viewer who asked us to put out this video. How to defend yourself legally after you're forced to defend yourself physically. Keyword there is forced. What does that imply? Probably self-defense, right? In Washington State, there is a self-defense law that allows a person to use necessary force to defend themselves or others from physical attack. You can use some amount of necessary force to remove someone from trespassing on your property, though I don't advise it. And, you know, we can't use deadly force unless we're being threatened with death. The force has to be proportional, things like that. And also, for crimes, the prosecutor has to prove the absence of self-defense. And we have a self-defense video, but this is about, what to do after you've had to use the self-defense to protect yourself. Hopefully you never are in this situation, but we've had plenty of cases like this, and I'm going to, use some that I've dealt with over the last 15 or 20 years to provide examples of what to do, because in the real world, it's pretty scary if you had to be in this situation. Number one, what you need to do is you need to take care of yourself mentally and physically, right? You've just been in a situation where you were probably attacked, you were probably hit, it could have been at a bar, it could have been in your home, and you've had to take physical force to defend yourself. You might have cuts, you might have scratches, you might be bleeding, so take care of yourself. And then number two, as part of that, let's preserve some of that evidence, right? Let's take some photos of what happened. We have a bloody shirt or torn clothing, let's preserve that, right? Let's not put that in the washer. Let's hang on to that so we can show the authorities what we had to go through. A week from now or 2 weeks from now or a month from now, if you don't think about it, maybe those wounds have healed, right? And also as time passes, if we have bruises and things, take photos every day because they change, right? When I was a prosecutor, that was one of the secrets we would use in in a domestic violence case. We would send out officers to get photos of the victim later, just because sometimes marks and bruises show up later. If you had a body blow, you were tackled to the ground, nothing may show up if you don't have road rash or something like that. But later there may be a big bruise, and we need that evidence to show, what you've been through, because the person you defended yourself from is likely accusing you of assaulting them, right? That's why we even care about this situation. So we have to, take care of our injuries, but then preserve evidence of the injuries as well. What else do we need to do? Well, we need to be careful what we tell the police, okay? The police are going to be involved. It's probably not a great idea to go into a great deal of detail immediately, because the officers, if they already have a point of view, if the supposed victim is calling against you, they may not be asking you fair questions. They may not be really trying to figure out what really happened. They may be trying to pin a case on you because they've got a victim who looks pretty bad. Usually the person who wins the fight is the person who gets charged with the crime. Okay, that's just how it goes. And so what you want to do is say you acted in self-defense, but most likely you're going to want to not get into great detail without talking to an attorney. And so that's the next thing you need to do right away. Get a hold of an attorney, right? Criminal defense attorneys, for the most part, we're available, right? We are on an as-needed basis, right? If you're a good firm, a larger firm, you've got procedures and situations. Someone's minding the house on the weekend or after hours to try to give some guidance and see if we need to get involved to try to help make sure that we tell the story accurately, but more importantly, in a way that supports self-defense. Because if you've seen my videos, we don't want to talk just generally fairly when we're talking to law enforcement. We want to be careful what we say. We can't use niceties, like it might have happened like that, or I'm not sure. We have to be very direct, okay, about, yes, I only acted to defend myself. I was about to be hit. I was hit. those type of things. What's next? Once you have the attorney, probably we're going to need to sit down and explain in detail what happened. So here's where we need to get a good memory of what happened. Maybe you need to write it down that night, that evening, that day. Attorney-client privilege only. Here's everything I remember happening. Who are the witnesses, right? Who might we be able to talk to that's going to help support your version of the events? Also, what do we know about the person that is claiming to be a victim? Do they have a reputation for violence? Were they drunk? Were they threatening us? Did we know that they've done this type of thing before, so we needed to protect ourselves? Were they biased against us? Are we a racial minority or a gender or sexual orientation situation where they were against us because of that, and we knew we needed to defend ourselves because of what they were telling us, right? Everything becomes relevant, but we need to get the evidence together for when it is time to speak to the police, if we choose to do that, that we put forth the best possible accurate rendition that supports why you had to act and protect yourself physically and now legally to justify what happened. What else do we need to do? We've had plenty of cases where, let's say it was a bar fight, it's a few days later, a week later, maybe we need to get an investigator on board, right? To go and interview some people about what they saw. Maybe you just got to the scene and this person was really drunk and raising heck, right? With other people. Well, you might not know that walking in, but some other witnesses might. And remember, sometimes people might be biased against you. There might be people that are friends with the victim, or that was a regular in a bar and the bartender's trying to protect them. I've seen that before, right? So we want to consider getting an investigator to build our case, because in this situation, you're probably looking at being charged with a serious crime if you had to defend yourself physically. So many times we get arrested for a felony, right? If we win the fight, they've got a broken bone, they've got a stitch, they have something that causes a felony. That's a big deal. It's a life-changing event, so we need to get it right. We can't just sit around and wait if we have a legitimate self-defense claim. I think the other thing you need to do, I mentioned taking care of yourself physically. You also need to take care of yourself mentally. It's post-traumatic stress going through the situation where you had to fight for your life. You might not have ever been in this situation before. And not only are you traumatized by what you went through, you're 100 times traumatized by now your life could get ruined by you being seen as a defendant as opposed to the victim, which is what you feel you are based upon the question that got asked here in this video. That might be in some therapy, right? It might be relying on family and friends. Remember, anything we tell people that isn't a therapist or attorney or a clergy member could be used against us. So we want to be careful who we talk to. Sometimes a partner can end up selling us out down the road later, 6 months or a year later after you're broken up with them. And I've seen that case happen too. So we want to get some support, but be careful what we tell people. We don't want to just ignore the stress on us from not only being attacked, but from also now being looked at as being a defendant when you should be a victim. And I think finally the most important thing to do is to not give up hope, right? You want to stay positive. You don't want to turn to alcohol or drugs. You don't want to get depressed. Usually things work out, and especially if we take the steps that we need to, trying to defend ourselves legally after we're attacked physically, we take the steps we need to, we're going to have a much better chance of a positive result. Because if you had a reason to act out, the prosecutor's got to disprove self-defense, okay? And that means even some little things we do can greatly increase our chances of not ever being convicted of a crime, maybe even not facing a crime. Now, if someone got shot or someone got stabbed, it's a lot different there. You're certainly not wanting to ever say a dang thing to the police, get to the attorney, and then anything that comes out needs to come likely through the attorney, because in those situations, the stakes are just way too high. But the typical misdemeanor assault, those type of things, you could probably generally say it's self-defense, but I want to explain more later. And if you want more information on how self-defense works, we have other videos, but this is more step-by-step what to do to try to get prepared after something's happened. Hopefully you never need to be in this situation. Always do your best to walk away from these situations so you don't ever need to hire someone like me. So I hope you found this useful. If so, please like it, please subscribe. More people get to see it. More importantly, if you get a legal problem, feel free to give my office a call. We'll see if we can help. If so, we'll identify a way forward. We'll do everything we can to get your defense right, and we will be there for you. Thank you.